Morning. I'm Galen Hunt. I founded and lead the Azure Sphere program at Microsoft. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But more importantly, how many of you like coffee? Or frappuccinos or scones? Okay. A confession, I don't drink coffee, never have, but I love Starbucks scones. Okay. And cranberry bliss bars. So we'll be talking about some things like that today. IoT is fueling a digital transformation and fueling digital transformation across many industries. Gartner predicts that there'll be 20 billion IoT connected devices deployed by the end of 2020. 88% of companies, regardless of their field, see that IoT as critical to their success. People are adopting IoT for multiple of reasons. We can kind of simplify them as to reduce costs, to delight customers, to streamline operations, and to create new business models. Now, as you think about IoT, we see IoT going through, like many technologies, a curve where you start off with a proof of concept. Figure out what is some proof of concept, some way we can evaluate the value of IoT for our enterprise. And then, as you reach production deployment, start delivering real business value for your enterprise. And then, as you iterate on those deployments and improve what the data is and how you process the data, you see increased value. That's the ideal curve. But without appropriate security, it all gets derailed. Okay? Now, as we think about IoT security, cyber attacks on IoT devices are predicted to go up by 300% in 2019. There's headlines every day of fridges sending spam, baby monitors being used to spy on families or project messages into homes. The Mirai botnet attack took the entire East Coast of the United States off the internet for a day. We've seen temperature thermometers in fish tanks be used to steal the high roller databases from casinos in Las Vegas. And the stories go on and on and on and on. We used to collect IoT security stories. We had somebody in my team who was collecting the stories. We kind of stopped collecting them. There's so many of them now, we don't even bother to collect them. And it has a real impact on how quickly IoT is adopted and how you use IoT in your enterprises. A recent study by Bain & Company showed that 22% of enterprise customers, the enterprise customers would be willing to spend 22% more on their IoT deployments in order to have sufficient security. And 70% of enterprises would buy more, up to, on average, 70% more devices if they knew that those devices were secure, if they could address their security issues. Security isn't something just that consumers and enterprises care about, it's something that governments care about. We've seen governments in Europe and UK are starting to push security certification standards. The UK is testing labeling standards for IoT devices that show how secure it is and what the refresh rate on the security looks like. In Asia, we're seeing Singapore and Japan both making progress. And here in the United States, we've seen state legislatures passing bills. Some bills have been introduced in Congress, and the National Institute of Standards are also introducing, mandating multiple security standards around that. So we see that governments have begun to realize that IoT security is going to be critical to their citizens and to their economies. Now, what's at risk with IoT security? Let's now talk through 5 simple points. The first one is there's the risk of devices being bricked. One of the stories, one of the jokes we tell inside my group is imagine if all of, say every espresso machine on the planet didn't work on Monday. Okay? That wouldn't be an economic situation. That would be a societal collapse. There'd be rioting in the streets. Okay? What if your devices get used for malicious purposes? Either spy, we've seen spying, for example, but we had an appliance manufacturer that we engaged with a couple of years ago. And they had a gas stove that they were in the process of developing. That gas stove, they thought it'd be great to add the ability to turn on the gas stove remotely, maybe so you could get the rice cooking before you headed home or something. Well, as they implemented that, they ended up implementing the first version of it so that you could turn on the gas and then an arbitrary time later turn on the igniter, okay? They'd unintentionally created an incendiary device, okay? Not something you want to happen with your IoT device. Of course, we see the potential for IoT devices to be used to steal data, to steal intellectual property. There's also the risk of data pollution. Many IoT systems consist of devices that are used as sensors. Those sensors are used to drive the business. They're used to train AI models. Imagine if hackers could compromise those sensors and were able to control the data that you were bringing into your business to make your decisions. And finally, devices can be used, as with the Mirai botnet attack, to attack the network itself, okay? So the risks are manifold. The cost of IoT attacks in terms of potential stolen IP, compromised status or certifications, brand impact, et cetera. The costs go on and on and on. IoT security is critically important. I often will share that I started the Azure Sphere program about 5 years ago at Microsoft when someone brought into my office for the very first time a programmable microcontroller. This was a chip that was about a $2 chip that would allow anything on the planet to be connected to the internet, okay? And it was in planning. And I saw that, and it was a moment of great excitement for me because I saw the future. You know, there's over 9 billion MCU-based devices deployed globally every single year. An amazing potential for everything to be connected, but also this amazing potential for, imagine, 9 billion new devices deployed every year owned by hackers. That was not a world that I wanted to live in, and that's actually what caused me to go to Microsoft senior management and say, hey, we need to do this thing that I call Azure Sphere. Now, the internet security battle begins as soon as you connect a device to the internet. And this is a battle that at Microsoft we've been fighting for decades. I've been at Microsoft 22 years. My entire career has been spent in one form or another on internet security. And we've learned a lot about security, cybersecurity when you have a device connected to the internet at Microsoft. We've summarized some of those learnings in a paper that we published a couple of years ago. It's at this URL at the bottom of the page on the 7 properties of highly secure devices. I'm a computer scientist. And what we did is we empirically studied every device that Microsoft had manufactured and many devices that our partners had manufactured. And we said, basically the bar we ask is, what does it take to create a device that you can connect to the internet and 5 years later feel confident that that device is still owned by you and not by hackers? Feel confident that that device has thwarted multiple security attacks. Feel confident that despite whatever is thrown at it, that device remains secure. Empirically, what we found is that the devices in that category all share 7 properties. If you're a security person, you'll recognize some of these terms: a hardware root of trust, defense in depth, small trusted computing base, dynamic compartments, certificate-based authentication, online error reporting, and renewable security. Now, many of you in the room may not be security experts. You're not here because you want to hear about security. You're here because you want to do IoT and you want to know how to do it well. And that's why we framed these in the paper in terms of a set of questions. Questions that you can ask of the devices that you're building, questions you can ask of the manufacturers of the devices that you're buying and that you're deploying in your enterprise. Now, meeting the 7 properties is very costly and it's very time-consuming. And that's because, in short, you have to have 3 very distinct sets of skills. And I'll summarize them by first, technology. You've got to be able to assemble all of the appropriate technical components to build an end-to-end secure solution with no gaps and no single points of failure. The second one is talent. You have to have the security expertise to be able to monitor not just your devices, but the entire ecosystem, so that as new security threats and new types of security attacks emerge, You can look at them and figure out, does this apply, is this an attack that might be launched against my devices, and if so, how am I going to mitigate against that? And thirdly, you have to have what I call the tactics. You have to have the infrastructure and the logistics expertise to be able to say, if you have a problem and you've got a new update that needs to get out of your devices, get that out to all of your devices rapidly. And not just in a matter of, say, weeks or days, but in the case of a zero-day attack where a vulnerability has been identified and weaponized and deployed on the internet, be able to deploy that in a matter of minutes or hours. That's a very high bar, and we recognize that, okay? That's why we created Azure Sphere. The mission of Azure Sphere is to empower every organization to connect and create devices that are secured and trustworthy. And we've been in public preview now for over a year, and the product will GA in February. Now, Azure Sphere is an end-to-end solution for securing equipment. For connecting, it allows you to connect existing equipment and new IoT devices with built-in security, putting the Microsoft's expertise and Microsoft's power behind your security posture. Azure Sphere consists of 4 components. First, there are Azure Sphere certified chips. These are chips built by our silicon partners that contain within them a hardware root of trust created by Microsoft based on our experience of 15 years securing the Xbox consoles. Second is an operating system that runs on these chips that creates a secured execution environment for software. And what that allows us to do is separate the operating system from the application that is controlling the device so that we can secure both pieces independently and update both pieces independently. The third piece is the Azure Sphere Security Service. The Azure Sphere Security Service works in tandem with the hardware root of trust in the chip and the operating system to ensure that every device, Azure Sphere-based device, remains secured. It does 3 critical things. First, it brokers trust. The Azure Sphere Security Service is a certificate authority. It creates the certificates that are used by the devices. It allows the devices to be able to vet communication with each other, with the cloud, and allows the cloud to vet the devices to make sure that they're up to date and secured. It also provides online error reporting. It's a feature that we've built into our Windows platform and now brought to IoT devices that allows us to monitor the entire ecosystem. Third, the security service provides updates for the devices. And so that brings us to the 4th element of Azure Sphere, which is we provide ongoing security updates for Azure Sphere devices for over 10 years. So you deploy a device based on Azure Sphere, you know that for over 10 years, Microsoft is going to keep improving the security on that device as new threats emerge against those devices. Now, our silicon partners, we have MediaTek with their MT3620 is available in volume now. It's a very general purpose MCU form factor device. We have new chips that have been announced and are coming from NXP. And Qualcomm has announced that they will be providing the first cellular-based Azure Sphere chip. We see a lot of ways that people deploy Azure Sphere. Some of them are building completely brand new devices, we call that greenfield. But we've also found a need for enterprises that have existing equipment. They need a way to bring secure connectivity to that equipment today. And that's where we bring in brownfield. Let me give you an example of this. After we had announced Azure Sphere, the group that runs Microsoft's data centers, the actual physical facilities, the group is responsible for all of the power and the air conditioning in our data centers that power Azure, came to us and said, you know, we have all of this HVAC equipment that has been in our data centers that we would really like to monitor remotely, but we have never dared connect it because if our cooling, for example, was taken offline, we could roast hundreds of millions of dollars of servers in a very small amount of time. And so we never dared connect it. Could we use Azure Sphere? And we worked with them, and they created, this is an example of what we call a Guardian module. It's a very simple device that allows them that you basically put one of these with every device that you want to be connected, and it provides the connectivity. It taps into the device to pull the data out of it and then connects securely with the cloud using Azure Sphere to back its security. And they've, in each of our data center, even in our very first data center, they deployed over 100 of these Guardians to be able to monitor every single electrical panel, every single air conditioner, every single blower. Now, another company that we've worked with is Starbucks. And I'd like to welcome on the stage now Jeff Weil, CIO of Digital and Retail. I think it was the other way around, right? Retail and Digital at Starbucks.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Well, it is my pleasure to be here and to share a little bit about our journey. As Galen mentioned, we've got a great partnership with Microsoft. We have for years, and as we were thinking about connecting equipment in our stores, obviously some of the same questions that the data center guys from Azure had, we had. As we mentioned, we do not want civil unrest and global societal meltdown when the coffee machines stop working on a Monday morning. So connecting those devices is really important for us, and making sure we do that in a secure, automated way is important. Anybody ever been to a Starbucks before? Show of hands. You guys know Starbucks a little bit. Let me just give you a sense of scale, which is what I think makes this problem a little more interesting. So today we have over 31,000 stores around the globe. We're over 400,000 partners. Proudly wear that Starbucks green apron. Hopefully you know yours as you go in the morning. We have 82 markets around the globe that we serve, over 100 million connections a week. So think about that, 100 million times a week, someone is going into a Starbucks to enjoy a cup of coffee or a treat. Which all leads to a big chunk of money in revenue. And this is an interesting stat that we've just added. If you just think about North America alone, we have 10,000 stores that are company-owned in the US and Canada. The average store has about 60 devices in it. So if you do the math, we have the potential of about 600,000 connected things within our stores. And so, just mention that. So I want to share with you a little bit of the journey that we've been on. And as you can imagine, you know, we've started slow and sort of learned some things and ramped up along the way. So in 2016, we literally had nothing connected. Someone's argued with me that we might have had like a couple of HVAC systems in a couple of stores with one utility connected, but I'm not counting those because I didn't know about them. So you guys know how that goes. We started pretty small. True story. We have the cold cases in the store where you can go pick up a yogurt or a juice or some food. And what happens is those things have to stay a certain temperature. And so you know how we make sure they stay a certain temperature is that a couple of times a day, depends upon the jurisdiction, a barista leaves the counter, stops caring about our customers, doesn't service the back of house. What they do is they pull out a thermometer, look at it, pull out their little logbook, write a temperature down in that logbook, and then go on their busy day. And if the temperature's out of spec, they've got a set of policies of what they're supposed to do to make sure they get it back in spec. Huge waste of time for our partners. And so we actually took a little temperature sensor, put them in some stores, have done some testing around that. And that was the first way that we've actually started to dip our foot into the process of connecting some of these devices. But we weren't going to stop there. As we've got the announcement from Microsoft, one of our biggest concerns, as Galen mentioned, was security. And in the Sphere platform and the Sphere ecosystem, it was the first time we've actually seen a solution where we really felt like someone thought about this entire architecture from the top to the bottom. There was lots of other chips out there, no one that had thought about security like Microsoft had thought about it. So for us, we took, in partnership with Microsoft, one of the early versions of the Sphere chip. We work with an end user manufacturer of ours, and we built another Guardian module similar to what Galen showed you. This one's got a nice Starbucks sticker on it. but it's literally got Wi-Fi and Ethernet capability. We're working on cellular capability as we go. But the idea behind this is we can connect this to not just one device, but to multiple different devices because it's a generic in its form factor and its connectivity. So we started with our next-gen coffee maker, which we call the Mastrena 2. And we'll share that story with you in just a second. But we've got about 500 of these connected in stores throughout the U.S. today. And our goal is by the end of 20 to have every single coffee maker that's a Mastrena 2 in our stores connected by the end of this year. And we'll share with you why. But we're not going to stop there, right? So we've got water filtration systems. We've got HVAC systems. We've got ovens. We've got blenders. We've got all kinds of refrigeration devices in our stores. There's literally no reason that we can't leverage these type of capabilities to connect and manage multiple devices, all the devices in our stores. And from 2021 plus, the goal is to connect everything, right? Why would we run things that are disconnected and manual when we have a secure platform that we know is going to stay secure and helps us take labor away from our partners in the store so that they can do stuff that really matters, which is manage and take care of our customers when they come in, all of you, for your morning coffee. All right, there's the beautiful new Mastrena 2 coffee machine, espresso machine. It's the next generation of what's in most of our stores today. It's super fast, it's super efficient, it does a lot of great things and actually makes a great cup of espresso as well. So let's talk about our roadmap there. So the existing Mastrena 1 version is disconnected. The Mastrena 2 device will be connected using this is the actual thing that we're going to connect to it. And it is wireless and will send data to us over our in-store Wi-Fi on a private channel. So let's talk about the difference. Believe it or not, I didn't know this until I started to work at Starbucks, but every cup of coffee, cup of espresso that gets pulled through this machine, depending upon the bean and the roast of that bean, has a different recipe, right? Different temperature, different pressure, different time that the water pours through the ground beans. And so when we introduce a new roast of coffee, say we're going to have a new coffee that we just procured from a partnership with our farm in Rwanda, and new roast, and here's the recipe from our master coffee blenders that say you got to pull the shot for 0.37 seconds. It's probably not, I'm just making that up. I don't know if that's right or not. Obviously, I'm not the coffee expert. But it's got to have this amount of pressure. It's got to be this temperature. And so we want to update that recipe in the machine. What do? You guys, I should have got a bigger one, but you can almost see this. This is a USB key, right? And so we give it to our technicians, and we say, go to all 10,000 stores in the U.S., plug this into the machine, update the recipe, right? Terrible idea. Lots of cost, lots of time. When in the new Mastrena 2, we have a connected device, we can push recipe updates whenever we want, from wherever we want, in a secure fashion. And so that's going to not only save us time to get those new recipes into the stores, but believe it or not, it saves a significant amount of money when you multiply it out. Think about maintenance on these machines, right? Today we do what everybody else does. Hey, we're going to have quarterly service of the machines, and then once a year we'll do a big annual service, whether we need it or not. If something breaks in the meantime, one of our partners from the store has to stop what they're doing and again go open a ticket to get service, right? Now, with the connected device, we're going to have high quality information flowing off of those systems at all time. We actually are changing our service model to say that we're only going to service those machines when we get certain metrics. You know, some stores are going to be busier than others and pull more shots in the machine than others are. And so we're going to manage our maintenance process as the machines tell us that they need it. And then that results in less downtime and actually saves a significant amount of money on the service as well. And last but not least, we know that sometimes things happen. Today, it is crises, right? We have multiple espresso machines in the stores, but if one goes down during a peak time in the morning, it's not a good experience for our customers or our partners. And then they go leave, and then they open a ticket, and then hopefully within a couple hours we get a technician out there to fix the machine. But all of that can be avoided if we know, what do you think about this machine actually sends us warning that, hey, the system is down. It might be in the middle of the night. I can get a technician out to fix it before the store even opens. No customer impact, no downtime, and we're getting much, much better information to know how to manage that. All right, so that's just an example. And again, to be totally clear, this same module that's doing all of that in partnership with our manufacturer of the equipment, who we told this is the telemetry we want come out of it. We are not having them embed the chip in the machine. This is an add-on after the fact as part of the implementation. And the reason we're doing that, which we'll talk about in a second with our design principles, is so that we can use this in multiple places on multiple machines with multiple manufacturers. All right, so what have we learned throughout this process? One of the things that was very interesting early as we started talking to people that had connected devices, whether it was our ovens or our coffee machines or our refrigerator systems, is that everyone had an IoT solution for us to buy, right? And some were better than others, and some were in the cloud, and some weren't. But the idea of the whole thing was that at the end of the day, we didn't own the data. And so for us, what we have figured out is the data is the most precious asset we can get, right? I don't just want to know what the coffee machine data is, but just think about if I can tie the water filtration system data with the coffee machine data, rub those together and go, you know what? Every time I see this on the water filtration system, I'm actually having more downtime, more interruptions on my coffee machines. That's where the magic happens, right? But if I don't own the data, I never get to rub those two sources together. And so for us, we've just made a pact that said, from now on, we own the data. And regardless of what relationships we enter into, if you're going to build stuff for Starbucks, we have to own the data, all right? And then number two is we're going to focus on a couple of protocols, right? So for us, the Sphere for connected devices using Wi-Fi is the platform that we're focused on. We do have a sensor platform that we're working with. We've got some LoRa implementations in some of our sensor use cases. But we're not going to do 50 different things. Too hard to manage, too hard to make sure that we're doing the right things across all those different pieces. And so for us, focus on a couple of protocols, and for us, Sphere really helped us do that. We are working with all of our vendors to make sure that they understand that this is the standard, right? If we're going to work with you, you have to have IoT enabled on your machines. We are working really closely with them to tell us what telemetry we want, because not all this stuff comes out of the box. And then obviously the beauty of this for us is that we're not going to have all new machines in all of our stores in a week, right? We have lots and lots of investment and lots of equipment in our stores, so we can use this device to retrofit all the brownfield stuff, as Galen mentioned in the use cases that we saw. But I think I'll leave you with this. Biggest lesson we've learned to date, outside of how we implement and outside of how we've sort of connected things and started to get data flowing, is that a lot of people have a lot of data and they're not doing much with it, right? And so really the magic from where this goes from a tech science project to an actual business driver is taking that data, learning, building some use cases, playing, having someone actually look at the data and play with it and go, what do we not know that we do know now that we're getting all this data in? Actually take some action based upon that data, and then change how you do things, right? We talked about, for us, the next step for us is that whole predictive maintenance model around our coffee machines. How do I not just do the same thing we've done for 10, 15, 20 years, where the guy goes out, services the machine, whether it needs it or not, sends us a bill. Now we're saying, no. We're only going to service these machines when they need it. And because of the data we're getting, we are learning and acting differently than what we did before. So that's all I've got. I think Galen and I are going to do a little Q&A, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Yeah. So Jeff and I are going to do a little bit of Q&A, and then we're going to open up for a few minutes for Q&A from the audience. So be thinking about your questions. So Jeff, what's next?
What's next? I mean, I think for us, again, we continue to really, the connectivity part, I think we have a path forward on that. And again, we'll want to do more and more machines. We're actually starting our new Nitro machines. If any of you have had the Nitro cold brew, huge hit for us. And that is something that we're going to enable with these same Guardian modules as well on the Sphere chip. But again, for us, it's about the data and learning, and how do we take that and actually do something interesting with it.
So what, if you think about your journey, you guys started, 3 years ago with absolutely nothing, and now you've got, at least hundreds of devices. If there have been any aha moments where you've changed your perception of the vision of where you're going and how you're doing this?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a Microsoft conference, so I don't want to be too nice to you, because Galen and I have had a great partnership, and it's been back and forth, and we sort of have learned a lot of things together. But I think for us, the security piece was really the unlock, right? We sort of understood conceptually that IoT connected things are great, but we were always nervous, because how do you do this, to your point, and not, if we get the coffee machines hacked at Starbucks, we're not only in trouble from a business, but we're on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah. So having that end-to-end security component was a big unlock for us that allows us to do this in a way that we feel much, much better about.
Yeah. I will often talk about terms of mission critical, right? And for some company, the coffee machine is, Microsoft, the coffee machine is probably not mission critical, but for you, it's absolutely mission.
That's some of your
Yours are, yeah, that's
yeah.
fair enough, yeah. But but for us, mission critical in the Azure is those electrical panels and those HVACs. And I think as I talk with companies, every company, it's what do you look at your company? What is the mission critical, and looking at that.
So when you guys think about the next phase for the Sphere chip and the Edge module, as you work with some of these third-party manufacturers, what's next for you? What are you excited about that's coming? I know that we're still early, but you haven't even done GA yet, but think 2 years down the road, what's exciting?
Well, I will say we are hyper-focused on GA, and that being able to really tell enterprises we are ready for global deployment is pretty critical, important. And then these chips, the MediaTek chip, the MT3620, it's a very low-cost part. It's got Wi-Fi connectivity, so it allows a lot of greenfield deployment. But as I look at as I look 2 years out, I see every single device being connected, and the NXP chips, they're building chips that expand much farther up in terms of what the range of device is. So we could use them to power actually be the primary chips in your devices, and then the cellular connectivity.
That seems like a huge unlock.
It's huge, and cellular for me, when we first started talking about cellular with IoT, I thought, that means things that move, that you really think about, cars and trucks and mobile things like that. But we've also found that in a lot of enterprises, they really want to be able to deploy and not have to worry about how do I provision, that I just know that this thing's already connected to a network. We also find a lot of, one company we were working with, had early discussions with, they rent equipment into construction sites. And they really want to know that equipment isn't going to disappear someplace. And if you think about someone who steals a piece of equipment or borrows a piece of equipment, they may not immediately go hook it up to their Wi-Fi network, but if it's cellular, well, it's connected all the time.
I'm thinking about stapling one of those to my college sons that are out there and making sure I can track them real time.
That's a possibility as well.
So talk maybe a little bit about some of the challenges of what it takes that you weren't expecting to sort of get to this point with GA. What have been some of the harder things that Microsoft's had to figure out, which again probably gives you advantage because you've thought about these things that others haven't?
Well, so, kind of the core security principles we understood really well. We've got these decades of experience. But you know, so my background, I spent 15 years running operating systems research at Microsoft. You know, if there was ever a ivory tower, maybe it was me person, right? And hitting where the rubber hits the road in enterprises, it's been where we say, okay, here's the change we have to, you know, this is why the Starbucks experience has been so fantastic for us. We realized how important brownfield was, how important it was to be able to connect these legacy equipment. And you know, as we've learned your requirements and adapted to those, that's been a challenge, a welcome challenge, but definitely a challenge as we've tried to make your deployments as easy as possible.
Yeah. Like when you think about most companies and their deployments, what are some of the mistakes that you see them make that if you could just say, think about this ahead of time or do this differently, that would help them go faster and save some headaches?
Well, I think the one thing I see, and I look at everything from the security lens, right, is that, you know, if you're in the science fair stage of, you know, we're trying out a project, we're going to see if we can get data off the Mastrenas or something like that, you know, there's ready solutions, there's lots of, you know, you can go get a Raspberry Pi, you can do lots of other things, Arduino or something, and get some data out. And then what people do is they very quickly, the science fair project run stops because you say, oh, we forgot about security. Now we've got to go back and completely re-architect what we're doing so that we have security. You know, it's foundational, security is. And so for me, my number one piece of advice is think about security from the very, very beginning. How are we going to make this secure? And the question there, you know, is don't think about what the cost is of an individual device. It's what does the system look like? You know, it's not about what's the price of a Guardian module. It's about what is the price of our espresso machines? What's the value of this IoT in our enterprise?
Yeah. And that's, I think, for us, has been an interesting concept, right? When you think about a $7,000 coffee machine, $100 for the lifetime of the chip and the management and the data collection is nothing, right? But it allows you to sort of manage this asset that is actually an expensive asset in a much more efficient and effective way.
Yeah. So should we take some?
Yeah, let's take some questions.
Okay, if you'd like to ask a question, please come up to the microphone. We have 3 microphones at the head of each of the aisles. Please come up to the microphone and speak into the microphone.
Hello. You talked about LoRaWIN. You just mentioned their name. So when you are getting data, when you're connecting your devices, so is it all Starbucks Wi-Fi that is connecting all your devices? Are you also using another vendor to monitor your devices and provide services in Azure, or is it Starbucks IT doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for LoRa, we are using we have an actual LoRa gateway in some of our test stores where we're testing those sensors that will then connect to our network equipment in the store and then get out to the internet so we can capture that data. All of the data we are managing in Azure IoT Hub. And so regardless of the source of the equipment, we're pulling all of that back. It's hitting a centralized IoT Hub gateway for us. And then the data transformation and the data modeling and the data analysis is all being done by our teams. But then the plan is to work with our vendors that do the support. And we're working actually right now on the integration of, we don't want to just send them a bunch of data. We want to send them actual triggers and activities of stuff that they can do, whether it's go fix a machine or time for service or, hey, you know, we're doing some new deployments and these machines need to come online, et cetera. Good questions.
Over here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great presentation. I just wanted to know, can you talk a little bit about the ecosystem you're building around the IoT data? So you mentioned you guys have partners or kind of field mechanics. Are you deploying apps for them to get that data?
We haven't gone that far yet. It's a great question. I mean, it's certainly something that we're looking at. But if you think about we have a set of vendors today that service this equipment. And the way that we have them service that equipment is we send them a service request. We open a service request inside their system. We're trying to get much more intelligent about the integration of those systems and not just saying, hey, there's a service request, on a Mastrena in store 1234, go fix it. But hey, here's a service request, here's all the information, here's all the telemetry we've gotten, here's the error codes that we've seen, here's the history of the machine, away you go. And so, you know, again, we have a pretty close partnership with a lot of those. It's still, I don't want to oversell it, we're still building that out and increasing those capabilities, but that's the plan.
All right.
Thanks.
Center microphone.
Do you have any plans to expand into like the maybe the farms themselves and measure like pH or soil quality or anything like that?
Yes, in fact, we have a pretty extensive IoT sensor implementation. We actually, most people don't know this, we own a farm down in Costa Rica, and we do a ton of agronomy practice development for how to grow efficient coffee. And we share that information freely with all of our partners around the world, the farmers that we work with. But tons of sensors, ground sensors, water sensors, temperature sensors, moisture sensors, all those kind of things. And they're actually probably more sophisticated at it than we are right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Over here.
First of all, thanks for the great presentation. I'm from Holland. I'm from a telco. So I'm quite exciting about the cellular chip. But how do you assure the network security from the device towards the cloud?
One of the key things that Azure Sphere provides is this certificate authority. So we use, TLS, SSL communication that's secured end-to-end by the certificates that are created by the security service. So that's the core way that we do end-to-end network security. In terms of if you want to how do I secure my routers or check my fabric or things like that, we'd move outside of Azure Sphere and into, for example, Microsoft Azure offers the Azure Security Center has an IoT functionality that allows you to help monitor your entire network. Okay.
Do you already know when the cellular chip will be available?
We're not at liberty. No, I can't answer that question yet. Sorry.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Let's go over here to the far left, or my far left.
Hi. So the question I have is, where do you do most of your computing? Is it at the edge, or is it like you send the data to cloud and do all those analytics, manipulations, predictive maintenance, all of that, the data you generate in the cloud? So.
Yeah. It's a great question, and we are doing more and more around edge compute in our stores than we've ever done before. In this particular case for our IoT data, we're sending it back to the cloud. So right now, all of that is happening in Azure, in the cloud. Could it happen locally at the stores at some point? Potentially. But we feel like for what we're doing and the stage we're at, that was the right move for us. So.
Just a follow-up thing. So how is your experience with the cost containment when you do all these, let's say, manipulations? I know you said about the IoT at scale. Any tips around cost or something?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, IoT data is relatively small, right? So if we're getting 15-minute incremental updates from the machine, I don't know the exact amount of data, but it's not very big. And so you throw all that together, it's probably, I'm guessing, but it's under a meg a day for all of the stores. So it's just not a lot of data. And so for our ability to sort of manage that, and take care of that, and that's not the big cost concern for us.
All right.
Hi guys, so that's more for Microsoft's question. Do you plan to have multi-tenancy for this sphere, so switching the data context, data ownership between the tenants?
So Microsoft, with Azure Sphere, we don't own your data. We secure the connection to the cloud. And in fact, you don't even have to connect to Azure for data if you don't want to. If you're using we're open to whatever cloud. You can even send the data to servers in your factory basement if you want. So we're completely open from the platform perspective to how you do that data.
And a follow-up question with the registration of, for example, Sphere device. It's tightly connected to Azure Active Directory right now. So how this correlates? Is this a different level or?
It's actually not Azure Active Directory. We built from scratch a new kind of certificate authority for IoT devices because we had to build something that would scale to billions of new devices per year, and so it's completely different. Ultimately, we have a long-term plan to allow integration so that you can match your people and other things that are in Azure Active Directory in with your devices, but that's still on the roadmap.
So completely different identity provider.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We'll let you ask your one last question, and then we've hit our time limit.
So this is kind of a follow-up. One of the things that we really struggled with was certificates, trying to generate our own certificate authorities. And so you're saying that with Sphere kind of gets me pretty excited. How does Sphere integrate with the device provisioning service and the certificate verification process?
So one of the things, part of this hardware root of trust is we actually establish the device identity and the relationship with Azure Sphere when the chip is in the silicon factory. And so there's a root trust in the chip. It generates its own identity. It shares a public key with our security service. And so even from the factory, we can trace that chip and track its identity and bootstrap that provisioning.
I might have asked the question incorrectly. I meant more from if I want to verify that intermediary against my device provisioning service implementation, how does that work? So if the certificate authority would already exist, so I would guess I would need the chain, and it requires that I have the actual private key, and you're not going to give that to me.
No, it just requires the public key. So we have a mechanism for sharing the public keys and then validating those against the device with attestation with the chip. So we're getting pretty technical. So I want to thank Jeff. Also invite you to please evaluate this session. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it.